Martin Van Buren was the 8th leader of the US 1837-1841, subsequent to filling in as the 8th VP and the 10th Secretary of State, both under President Andrew Jackson. While the nation was prosperous when the little entertainer was chosen, under 90 days after the fact the monetary frenzy of 1837 penetrated the success. Something like 5 feet, 6 inches tall, however trim and erect, Martin Van Buren dressed demandingly. His faultless appearance misrepresented his pleasantry and his unassuming foundation. Of Dutch plummet, he was brought into the world in 1782, the child of a tavern keeper and rancher, in Kinderhook, New York. As a youthful legal counselor he became engaged with New York governmental issues. As head of the Albany regime, a powerful New York political association, he keenly administered public workplaces and abundance in a design determined to bring votes. However, he loyally satisfied official obligations, and in 1821 was chosen for the U.S. Senate. By 1827 he had arisen as the important Northern pioneer for Andrew Jackson. President Jackson compensated Van Buren by delegating him Secretary of State. As the Bureau individuals delegated at John C. Calhoun's proposal started to show just optional dedication to Jackson, Van Buren rose as the president's most confided in consultant. Jackson alluded to him as a genuine man with no cleverness. The break in the Bureau became serious as a result of Jackson's disparities with Calhoun, an official hopeful. Van Buren recommended an exit from a possible stalemate. He and Secretary of War Eaton surrendered, so Calhoun men would likewise leave. Jackson selected another bureau, and looked for again to remunerate Van Buren by naming him clergyman to Incredible England. VP Calhoun, as leader of the Senate, cast the choosing vote against the arrangement and made a saint of Van Buren. The little entertainer was chosen VP on the Jacksonian ticket in 1832. And won the administration in 1836. Van Buren gave his debut address to a talk upon the American investigation as an illustration to the remainder of the world. The nation was prosperous, yet under 90 days after the fact the frenzy of 1837 penetrated the success fundamentally. The difficulty was the 19th century repetitive economy of win and fail, which was following its normal example. Yet Jackson's monetary measures added to the accident. His obliteration of the Second Bank of the U.S. had eliminated limitations upon the inflationary acts of some state banks. Wild hypothesis in lands, in light of simple bank credit, had cleared the West. To end this hypothesis, Jackson in 1836 had given a specky roundabout expecting that grounds be bought with hard cash, gold or silver. In 1837 the frenzy started. Many banks and organizations fizzled. Thousands lost their properties. For around 5 years the U.S. was wrecked by the most terrible misery up to this point in its set of experiences. Programs applied many years after the fact to reduce monetary emergency escaped both Van Buren and his rivals. Van Buren's cure, proceeding with Jackson's deflationary approaches, just developed and delayed the downturn. Proclaiming that the frenzy was because of wildness in business and overexpansion of credit, Van Buren gave himself to keeping up with the dissolvability of the public government. He went against not just the formation of another bank of the U.S., yet in addition the putting of government subsidizes in state banks. He battled for the foundation of an autonomous depository framework to deal with government exchanges. Concerning administrative guide to interior upgrades, he cut off consumption so totally that the public authority even sold the instruments it had utilized on open works. Really leaned increasingly more to go against the extension of servitude. Van Buren impeded the extension of Texas since it definitely would add to slavery area and it could carry battle with Mexico, defeated by the Whigs in 1844 reappointment. He was a fruitless contender for president on the Free Soil ticket in 1848. He kicked the bucket in 1862. Martin Van Buren was the 8th leader of the US 1837-1841. Subsequently